All right, so this is our first Hangout Session 1, and we're covering 5 different websites today. The first that we are covering is called Formule, and Formule is a website where you can create different forms or reports for whatever you need it for. So, like for a classroom, you could do it for um, just to like poll your students or poll your parents. You could post it on your website. The website itself is pretty easy to navigate. Once you create an account and you click on the Forms tab, it automatically takes you to create a form. And on the right hand side, there's just different selections that you can drag and drop onto your form. Some of the standard fields are things like a text box or a group or a page break or a checkbox list, drop-down menus. Some of the common fields are just a name or an address or a phone number that whoever is taking the form can enter. For survey fields, you can do a slider or a grading system, a scale rating, or like stars. And then for advanced items, you can add a password onto your form, which can be for like if you wanted to have your form be a secret and require a password, you could do an image or and a free text, which is an HTML code, or you can also hide a certain field. Once you create your form and you want to publish it, you are able to embed it, or you can do a pop-up link, or you can email the link or post it on a blog, whatever you want to do. So like I said, the first thing that came to my mind for your like critical use for a classroom was you could create like a form or a survey for your website and post it on your website and like send home a note to the parents that's to ask them to fill out a form or a survey on a field trip that you attended, or maybe like a big project that you did, and have the parents like give you feedback on what they thought about the project. And there could also be a student version of it, and then the students could submit their answers and you can have feedback about your assignment. And then for like relating it to my placement, I'm in a middle school science placement this semester, and they use forms frequently to like poll students on what they're learning, like something simple like there was a half day and they were watching a Bill Nye video, and the teacher just had them go through and do an online survey to select like different answers for what they learned, so the teacher could tell that they were paying attention.
All right. I guess what I was thinking of as far as a use in a classroom would be more for since you can collect the data, right, from the forms.
Yeah.
Would be for bringing it to like parent-teacher conferences. If you were collecting students' data, like if they were filling out the forms, you could bring that there, or you could use it to support, like as I guess evidence or whatever when you were creating an IEP for a student.
I would think
I
of
think
it.
it would be really helpful for teachers to have in the first few weeks of school when they're trying to gather students' emergency information, and they could do that by filling out a form online and then connecting it to their website, and the different parents could fill in their emergency information and any allergies that students have, and that could be really helpful because it would be a sheet that the teacher could pull up at any time, and they could also create a directory for the parents so that they could contact other parents within the class if they wanted to set up a play date.
I was thinking a great use for this would be kind of like student self-assessment. So maybe a teacher could create a rating scale or a checklist to help students kind of self-assess how they've done in their work. So maybe if they had a paragraph, they could rate, is this a 1, 2, or 3 paragraph? Or maybe they have a checklist. Do I have a topic sentence and 3 supporting details? So then students can check off their own work, and then they can look and see, you know, is this my best work? Do I have everything that the checklist states, or do I need to go back and fix something? So I think that would be kind of cool to use in the classroom.
Nice. Anything else for Form Mule?
No.
The next one would be crafty extensions. So this you have to use in Google Chrome. The extensions don't run on any of the other web browsers. But there are 3 of them. And the first one is called Crafty Level. And once it's installed, any web page you pull up will, in the little box on your toolbar, will show the Flesch Kincaid reading level for that web page. So that would be really easy, a good way to show the reading level so teachers can know which web pages are appropriate for which students. And I can show you what I mean by that. Maybe. So this is just a screenshot of the PBS Kids website, and over here in the corner where the extension is, you can see it has the little red box with 51 in the corner. And the next one is called Crafty Rights, and that is just for if you're searching an image on the web, it'll give you options for how you want to search it, I guess you would say. So you can find images that are legal for reuse. So on this page, we searched kittens, and in this drop-down menu here, you can filter what kind of images you want to see. So right now it's checked as images that are labeled for reuse. So that'll cut down a lot on if students are searching for images, you won't have to worry about them with copyright infringement. And then the third one is called Crafty Text, and that is just a text box that you can click the extension in the toolbar. A text box will pop up on your screen on whatever browser you're in, and it looks like this. So just a little box here, but then when you type in it and you click enter, your words end up super big and take up the whole screen. So that'll be useful if you needed to get an important point across to the kids, or if you were trying to give directions to them. It would be good so they can see it. It would also be helpful for anyone who has vision impairment. And let's get out of that. Yeah, so obviously those would be my critical uses. And then as far as using it actually in a classroom, last year I was in a 4th grade placement, and they had a big project where they were researching different scientists, and they were making big posters on it. So they were looking up images to print out and put on their posters, and the teacher had to do a lot of monitoring of what images they were using and what was legal as far as the copyright infringement went. So I felt like using the Crafty Rights extension would be really helpful for that kind of situation.
I'm placed in a 1st grade classroom this year at Pinehurst Elementary School, and today my mentor teacher was doing benchmark assessments for students' reading, and so they have different levels of books, and then students will go from a level that they're comfortable with to a level of frustration, and that's the way the teacher will determine what reading level this should be and what their goals should be. So I think the Crafty Levels tool in the Crafty extensions would be really useful because it shows which websites are appropriate for skills based on their reading level, and then you could see if someone is currently in block N and should they move on to the next block. And that would be an online way and helpful for digital learners.
I was looking, I was thinking about the crafty text as far as like getting a big point across. Maybe if a teacher had like, specific vocab words or like maybe like a student of the week or student of the day that they wanted to recognize, by putting that in really big text, that's the first thing students are going to see when they walk in the classroom and look up at the board. So I think there's a lot of really effective ways that a teacher could use that.
The first thing that came to my mind was for the crafty rights. There's a lot of issues, even with colleges, college students who are doing researching like images that use them for PowerPoints or Prezis or whatever they may be using them for. That seems like a great way that they can weed out images that they will get in trouble for using versus images that they can legally use for their assignments. Even though either way they should still cite where they got them from, but I think that would be a good way to minimize copyright issues.
Yeah, they can use better pictures than just the stupid little clip art ones that come on whatever program they're using.
And it would also be useful for teachers when they're explaining concepts to show images, or they can even make a lesson on copyright for younger children and show what would be allowed to be used using that crafty rights resource.
Mm-hmm. Great. Shall I go next?
You shall.
All right. So my tool was called Book Wizard. This was a really neat website. It's really majorly for teacher use. Basically, what it has, and I can pull this up for you guys. Do a little screen share here. So this is what the website looks like. So here you can see it has a couple different tabs. So this you can search pretty much any type of book. It's a Scholastic website, so it is school-based. You can search books by grade level. If you're looking for something for guided reading, it also mentions the Lexile level, which I know a lot of teachers look for. So I thought that was kind of a cool way to be able to search for books for the classroom. This feature right here is similar books. So again, you have all these different ways to search, but you can find a book, say you like Where the Wild Things Are. So you just search in here, and then it pulls up all of these books that are similar to Where the Wild Things Are. So I just thought that was really cool because maybe if a teacher finds a book that they like, they're able to, find something similar. There's also a way to search by a similar author. There are full author studies, which I'll talk about in just a second. Another cool feature, you have this add to book list right here. So I thought that was pretty cool because then you can make your lists and hold on to those. And then anytime you need a reference for it, you can just kind of go back and look at that list. And I'm sure you could share it with other teachers too. I think that'd be a really cool way to kind of share with your colleagues. The other thing was the authors. So if you go to Books and Authors, you can, has a list here of the featured authors. It also has videos about books and authors. But if you go to featured authors, you can actually find whole collections. You can search here by alphabet. So here I'm going to find my personal favorite, which is Dr. Seuss. So if you find Dr. Seuss here and you click on the page, so it gives you some information about the author, which as a teacher that's always really cool to know. And then you can get a list of their books. So here we have a list of all of the Dr. Seuss books that are available. You can add those to your book list. You can find the book lookalikes right from here. Everything does list the grade level, the Lexile level, everything like that. So this is a really cool tool that teachers are able to use if they're trying to do a unit on a specific author. So that was pretty cool. And then, so this all has, if you click on the books, let's see, where do we want to go? So if we do Dr. Seuss's ABCs, so this is going to come up with, tells you a little bit about the book, and it also gives you activities, extra lesson plans that you can look at, videos, other books. So teachers can really get a lot of information just by using this website because there's so many different resources on here. So I can bring you guys back here. All right, if I can get out of screen share here. There we go. Maybe? It's not coming out of screen share. All right, so if you guys want to go ahead with your.
Sure. There you are.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so for my critical use, one of the first things I thought of was like in Kaylee, like in our what's it called? Children's literature class, our teacher said that it will take a few years to be able to make quality recommendations to students who have interest in certain books. So, you know, if a student asked me, oh, I really like Harry Potter, what are some other books that I can read because I've already read all the Harry Potter books, I personally wouldn't know what to recommend, especially as being like a first or second year teacher. So that would be a great website to like Google or search the book that the child likes and then get a list of books for their reading rate, their level of reading that they seem interested in.
I like the idea that you can make a list of books and that you can perhaps share them with either other teachers or maybe even with students or their parents. So instead of saying like, you have to read this book, maybe you could give them a list of books all on the same subject or that are at least all in the same reading level so that the kids have a choice of what they want to read.
I like the feature where it shows the grade levels that the book could correspond to. So in her Dr. Seuss example, there were different books that were K through 2 and then other ones that were K through 4. So you could use a more simplistic book, such as Old Hat, New Hat by Dr. Seuss, for young readers who are just learning. And if they are really interested in the story, you have all of Dr. Seuss's books. And so they already know how Dr. Seuss writes, and you could move on to the next level book, like the ABC book. And then as they progress, you could move up to more advanced books, like The Cat in the Hat.
One other thing I wanted to mention, there's also an area where you can search by subject area. So I know in my placement, my teacher does a lot with math and especially with science. So, you know, if she wanted to go on here and find some books like environmental science, if she was working on something with that, she could go in and search environmental science and it'll pop up with a whole list of books and, you know, activities and things like that that go with the books. So that can be really, really helpful for teachers. Maybe, you know, they can't find an idea for a particular lesson, so that can really help them. Maybe they find an idea and then they can build on that. And I just thought that was really cool.
So now we're going to move on to our fourth resource, and that was TouchCast. So the way you access that is by going to touchcast.com, and it's available for either a desktop or a mobile device, including iPads. And it's very helpful because it allows you to create videos that are interactive for students. So, for example, this Wall Street Journal video, you're not going to see the sound because then you wouldn't be able to hear me. But it's going to have different, it's going to be recording the video and playing it. And then at different points, there's links where you could actually hit and have a poll from the viewer. So I could agree that the woman did a better job in this particular poll. Or I could think that Donald Trump had greater point, and I could interact with the video, and I'll get instant feedback on what other viewers agree with as well on that. It even has a countdown option. What's also really nice about this is as a teacher, you're able to create your own channel, and actually anyone in the community is able to create their own channel and allow people to access it. There's also a community link if you go to the left-hand side of the webpage. You can click on there. And there's different topics and questions and open questions that people have had. There's actually one specifically for teachers and educators, and that's different questions that teachers have had about the TouchCast system. And what's really nice is they get back to you very quickly. So for example, in this, someone asked in the beginning of the year it's the beginning of the year for her flipped classroom, and she was looking forward to it. And so someone from TouchCast actually shared a video with her about TouchCast and how you could use it specifically in flipped classroom. In the videos, the interactive videos, you're able to share different websites, different images, different polls, as well as videos. And you as the creator of the website and the video are able to show those while you're still talking, or you can decide that if another video is playing, it can pause your talking and just allow that video to go on. And then when the viewer is done with it, they can exit out of that and have come back to the video that you're a part of. It also has a specific feature that allows educators to get lesson plans. That was the wrong button, I'm sorry. It allows educators to get lesson plans, and it shows how kids have been able to use this within their classrooms. So in the trending videos, it actually has examples of small children using TouchCast themselves and using it for morning announcements, using it to explain different concepts. In one of the videos that I watched, they had students show their tooth chart after they had read a book where the teacher recorded the day that they lost a tooth on a chart, and then they showed their own and had a way to interact where a student could choose what month they lost the tooth in. So what just popped up was they have access to a video. And we're going to get out of this. I think this could be a really powerful tool for teachers, especially if they know they're going to be out one day. Maybe it's a planned absence, and they could record a lesson on TouchCast and then have it available for their students to view. One of the teachers that is a champion of this site's name is Mr. Jones, and he actually runs a flipped classroom in 10th grade biology where he'll show his students videos when he's out, and then they'll actually create different videos. In one of his examples, he had his students learn about Punnett squares and alleles, and the way he did that was he created a video where they were zombies in outer space, and they were trying to figure out the phenotypes and genotypes of what would happen if a zombie with pointy ears bred with a zombie with curved ears. And that was a cool way that his students were able to interact. You're also able to have a whiteboard function, and that was where he was able to actually draw those different Punnett squares. What I think is really important to know is that you can get a free account, but you can only have 1 hour of non-commercial use for it. Otherwise, you will have to pay for an account on TouchCast. But it's free to use for the first time. He also mentioned, the teacher that uses it a lot, that if students finish early, it's a great example of how teachers can modify their instruction, and they can allow students to have a blooper reel. and that gives them something creative to do and still informational, where they can have an additional assignment that they can be working on while other students are finishing. That might require a little bit more time.
Nice. I was thinking kind of along the lines of what you said, as far as a teacher being absent and needing a substitute. I was thinking more along the lines of what we talked about at the beginning of the semester with like cross-culture or like cross-country classrooms, where one class of students in one place can connect with another class of students in another place, so they can make a touchcast video and use it to ask questions or show videos about their culture, and share links with the other class. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I was thinking of using it as like a creative arts tool. I know a lot of times teachers want to integrate like drama and dance into the classroom. So maybe students can make a touchcast video. You know, if they're not comfortable sharing something in front of the class, they can make this video. Then they're able to share it. They can ask questions and get other student responses. But I feel like it's a great way, because then that also gets them using technology. So you have arts and technology kind of all in one.
Something that I was thinking of for a critical use would be maybe creating a video as like a small group, maybe like 5 students could create a video, and then throughout the video there are smaller videos of the individual students in the group, so every student would have their own certain topic that they could talk about or do their research on, and they'd make that own video, but then all of the videos together create one big video that they also create together. So it would be sort of an individual project, but also a group project in one.
And another thing about this is by creating a touchcast video, students are really engaging and aren't just listening to a lecture, and they have to be active and participate in their learning.
Which is a nice segue into our last tool, which is Zaption, which is similar to the TouchCast in that it's a video tool that you can interact with. But it's, instead of, I think the TouchCast, you kind of either pause the video or it goes to a different video. In the Zaption, it gives you like side-by-side screens, so you can have the video going on one screen and another screen with like pictures or quiz questions or things along that line. So let me pull up. Wherever I put it. All right, so when you open it, you have to make an account. It's free, but when you open it, you can start, and they're called tours. So you can make a new tour, and then you can either browse the videos that they already have. They have a lot of videos from everywhere on the web, from like YouTube to TED Talks to PBS to. You cannot upload your own videos like from your own computer, but Megan pointed out earlier there's a loophole if you want to upload your own video to YouTube, and then you can obviously load that. But then you can add, it like pauses the screen. You can choose to pause the screen and add in multiple choice questions, short answer questions, check boxes so they can like answer questions that are along the lines of check all that apply kind of things. You can add images, so if you're talking about like if the video is about Picasso, you can have some of Picasso's art alongside the video. And you can also draw either on the slide next to the video or on top of the video, which is helpful if you want to draw attention to something in the video, like circling it. So as the creator, you can draw on it, and you can also have whoever's viewing it draw on the screen as well. So you can ask, like, in this picture, circle the blue square. And then once you publish it, students, all they have to do is, if they have the link that you shared, they just go in, they can type their name, or obviously if you want to do it, have them do it anonymously, they can just type anonymous or a fake name. But that's all they have to do to access it, and then they can watch the video and answer the questions, and it submits all that information to the creator. So teachers can use that to, I guess, poll the students or gather information on what they learned or what they already know. So I thought it would be cool to use, like, as an introduction to a lesson, so you could show a video and again, like on Picasso, and pause it every now and then and ask if the students know anything about Picasso, so you know where to start your lesson from, or at the end of the lesson or unit as assessment. And it's another tool like the TouchCast that will keep kids engaged in the video, as opposed to, I know when I was a kid, if I was told to watch a video, I would have probably been zoning out for half of it and missed a lot of the information, but this keeps you to pay attention to it, to answer the questions and everything. You can buy a $90 subscription for a year to it, but I really feel like that's unnecessary because there's so many features that you can get with the free account that it doesn't seem necessary to me. So I guess a critical insight that I had about a way it could be used in a classroom was, I haven't seen anything like this used in a classroom, but I can think of situations that I've seen that this would have been so beneficial. Like right now I'm placed in a first grade class, and they're doing, they're learning ordinal numbers. I thought this would have been a good way to, like, watch a video and assess what they already knew about ordinal numbers, like if they knew first was number 1, second was number 2, that sort of thing. I think that's it.
Okay, well, I came up with actually 2 critical uses. The first one is, I kind of imagine it as being like a good way to test the students on things like social studies. So if you wanted to create your own YouTube video and then use, like, sort of the loophole and upload that onto your account, and then ask questions like, oh, like, circle this state, or like zoom in on it, or circle a state and then, like, label where the capital is, or things like that. I think that'd be a really good opportunity to use it as a quiz way. And then something for older students would be assigning it for homework and saying, you know, watch this TED Talk, and then throughout the TED Talk they get questions. So you have to, the students actually do need to watch the entire TED Talk to answer the questions, like, as they come up. They can't just sort of like skim a textbook and look for the questions. They have to actually watch the whole video to get the answers. I did have one question. If I make a video and I put it onto my account, can I share it? Like, can another teacher use it? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe so. If you, because it's kind of like our Google Docs, where if you click the share button, it gives you a shareable link, and once it's published, anyone can view it.
Okay.
As long as they have the link.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was kind of thinking of this from a little more of like an English standpoint. I was thinking maybe, you know, if students are working on, you know, labeling sentences, you know, or editing something, maybe they have a video on, you know, how to edit a paper, and then, you know, they have an image of, here's a few sentences of this, how, like, what corrections could you make, and they could, if they can write on it, or, you know, answer questions about it, then they have those both side by side, and they can kind of go back and forth. And I feel like it's using, you know, multiple ways to kind of test them on that.
I'm also in the first grade classroom, and my students have been learning about adding double numbers. And so they actually watched a video today where they had double stacks. And in the song, it would have the opportunity for them to practice by saying 5 plus 5, and then, like, pausing a second, and then giving the answer. And if they had the opportunity to answer the question in a multiple choice form or in a written out way, that would be especially beneficial to them. And I don't know that you said it this time, but when we were talking earlier, you had said that there's an analysis page.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I forgot to talk about the analysis.
That has distributions once student answers are put into the teacher's folder, and you can talk about that more. But I thought that was really helpful for teachers because you can see what students are struggling with and what they understand completely.
Yeah, because once the students submit their answers, the creator of the Zaption video gets this whole slew of information about it. And so it has an overall analysis, so you can see, I mean, I made one and I answered it, so obviously I was the only one that did it, so the results are a little skewed. But obviously you can see that, the questions were answered and how long it took and all that stuff. And then it shows for the multiple choice questions, shows what all the choices were, what the question was, where in the video it was, the distribution of the answers, and what each viewer and their answer was. And it's similar for the open response questions, except I thought that was nice that it also made you a little word cloud for what words were used the most in the responses. So yeah, close out of this.
Another feature I really liked about yours was the anonymity factor, because if you were asking a more personal question, the fact that students don't have to write their name on it and the teacher wouldn't be able to recognize their handwriting could be especially helpful in getting those real, honest answers.
Yeah, they wouldn't feel stressed about it, but the teacher would get all the information they needed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had fun playing with that today. I liked that tool.
That was our last tool, correct?
Yes, it was.
All right. So I guess that concludes our first ever Hangout. I think that's all. Anyone else have any other comments or questions?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well,
see you guys for the next Hangout.
Hope you enjoyed our resources.
Bye, guys.
Bye.